What was the worst thing your guest did when they took "make yourself at home" very literally? My husband's old friend stayed with us for 2 weeks while we were living in Japan. He was very smug and irritating. An instant expert on Japan after a few days. When we had been living there for 2 years. Finally he left on a Friday. My husband and I had separate plans on Saturday. I returned in the afternoon to an unlocked door and the sound of the TV. I thought hubby had returned early. Nope. It was old friend, thinking we had gone for the weekend. He had broken into our apartment for an extra 2-night stay. "You weren't supposed to be here," he protested, and he refused to leave until my husband came back home and told old pal personally that he had overstayed his welcome. Rearranged my kitchen. That bitch. Started a kitchen fire by cooking spaghetti in cake pans without water. My relative stayed with my grandma and proceeded to burn the house to the ground by deciding to have a bonfire 3 feet from the side of the house. Dinner guest asked to stay overnight because of the snow, which wasn't forecasted until much later that night. Spouse and I agreed as we didn't have work the next day. But guest did, and at 7:30 in the morning he was freaking out because we hadn't shoveled the driveway for him yet. "How am I supposed to get to work on time?" Quote. My wife 3 days ago. Tasked with feeding her friend's cat while they're away for a week. They said help yourself to whatever you like. She came home with their waffle maker. Pretty sure it meant she could score a couple of their Tim Tams, not make off with their appliances. My father-in-law was staying with us for a month. He lived in Oman. The spare room was an office with a sofa bed in so it could double up for guests. He bought a double bed and got rid of the sofa bed. I lost my office. Came home. Sitting in his boxers on my kitchen counter washing his feet and trimming toenails in my sink has got to take the cake. My grandma offered to make him a sandwich. A little while later he said, "Where is that sandwich coming from? South Dakota?" Guess he thought it was taking too long. 35 years later I still think about that asshole sometimes and wonder WTF was he thinking? Just how could you say that to someone's grandmother you just met? He was my cousin's dorky boyfriend's friend. I was about 13 and appalled. My grandmother was the sweetest woman and an amazing hostess. I had guests turn the pool heater on in February and not turn it off or tell me it was on. I noticed steam coming off the pool a week later and it was $90. The bill was just under $1,000. Literally tried to move in. Had an old friend that was in town and I offered to let her stay here for a week instead of getting a hotel. A week turned into 2, which became a month. When I confronted her and asked when her new place would be ready, she said she thought she could just stay, since she had all of her stuff and was here for over 2 weeks. Even the cops wouldn't take her away. Had to formally evict her. Didn't leave for 6 months. Ate all our cheese and wasted all our dishwasher tablets on rerunning the dishwasher. It did a bad job, but would run the same load like 10 times? He was sleeping my flatmate and she undermined all our attempts at getting him to leave once we realized he was a hobosexual. I let a friend and her dog stay at my house over the weekend while I was away. She left my kitchen a disaster. The back door unlocked. And best of all, fleas. I had asked her directly if her dog was on flea prevention and she assured me it was. After I was swarmed with fleas in my living room, I questioned her again and she admitted that the flea prevention she was giving the dog were yeast and garlic tablets. She made no offer to help me treat the house or reimburse me. She was not invited back. He literally took his freaking socks off and put them on the dining table. Dude. What? My dad's best friend and his family stayed with us for 2 weeks during the summer. I was 9 and my sister was a newborn. Literally 2 weeks old when they arrived. Already off to a bad start. The wife kept putting my sister onto her stomach while she slept, when no one was looking. When my mom finally caught the wife doing it and told her to stop because the risk of cot death, she replied, "I did it with all my kids and they turned out fine." She continued doing it. The wife would only cook sausages and mashed potatoes for dinner, and get angry at my mom when she cooked something different. She also heavily restricted anyone in the kitchen. I had to ask permission to get a cup of water or eat a biscuit from the pantry. Dad's friend would tell us what activity we were allowed to do. E.g., you must play in the backyard right now. Don't come inside unless you need the toilet. You must watch TV right now. I don't care if you're not interested in the movie. Just shut up and watch. Caught a friend of a friend masturbating into my kitchen sink at 2 a.m. Am I allowed to talk about my current guests? My flatmate's friend has been here for nearly 6 days. They've used my food, expensive shower products, let their child run screaming up and down the hallway for hours without stopping. And, me being petty, looked at me like I am a weirdo for being out in my own kitchen. They were supposed to leave yesterday. I'm very annoyed. Edit. Good news lads, my other flatmate said they're gone. I can breathe easy again. The sun is shining and there will hopefully never be another screaming child in that house. I know staying 1 extra day seems not too big of a deal, but there was literally nowhere in the house I could go to escape the screaming. I am very happy. When I was renting an apartment and my roommate had a GF staying over every day for 2 months. She would take a 2-hour bath and would always not flush as she was saving water. She also would cook and then not clean up after. Her food were always terrible. Another roommate's GF visited for a few hours. Nice girl gave us food and was a good guest. The leech complained how she better not stay any longer, because we don't like freeloaders. Her hypocrisy was amazing. She also refused to wear tampons or panty liners, so roommate's bed was bloody and gross. When they finally broke up, she asked us to let her live there because her parents had kicked her out for trying to sell their house. They were house sitting for 2 or 3 weeks, I can't remember now. But when we got home, they rearranged almost all the furniture. Most of it was just moving things back, but they pushed an old teacher's desk we had down into the basement. One of those huge metal monstrosities that weighs a ton. Well, there was literally no way to get it back up those stairs without some kinda machine I couldn't afford. So that thing stayed in the basement and was sold with the home. They also damaged a recliner so it didn't recline anymore and claimed they didn't. As he is moving in, said, "By the way, I have a dog, I hope that's fine," as his dog runs into my house and jumps on my couch. Never once cleaned up the dog's poop from the backyard. Sits right next to me on the couch when my husband was at work and asks me to restart what I was watching from the beginning so he can join. Complains I was using the second master for my office when the last friend who stayed with us and paid rent had it as his room. His stay was cut short.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.